Everybody, this is the one and only fightinggm, and today this video is going to be similar to my most popular Tekken 7 video. And in this video I'm going to tell you guys which characters are the hardest characters to master in Tekken 8 and which characters are the easiest, in my opinion, to learn as a player in Tekken 8 and the type of playstyle you need to play these characters. So first of all, we're going to start with Eddie Gordo. Eddie Gordo in this game has changed a lot as a character. He's much more offensive orientated, and he's also a lot more mix-up orientated. In other Tekken games, he was mostly like a keep-out character, down forward 2, a lot of spacing, but in this game, most of all his stuff goes into the 50-50s, like the 4-4-3 low, and when he goes in the heat. So he's a big risk taker character, similar to Anna. So I would say his game plan is a lot more easier to utilize in this game. His armor move is really good. It's a high, but it's extremely fast. And then of course he has back 144, all natural on counter hit. And his 50-50 game is really cheap. You either eat the double mid, that's -13, or you eat the knockdown low. So it's kind of a vortex, and the knockdown low obviously knocks down, and he gets that Konoswa, the Super Saiyan blow up spark. So, just because he's more 50-50 orientated, I feel like you have to think a lot less with him. And I think one of the easiest things to do in Tekken is just to kind of go for 50-50s all day. So, and he's pretty gimmicky too, but I think in general, he's pretty easy to play in this game. So I think he's one of the easiest characters to play and pick up in this game. Claudio, he's an interesting one, because if the running 2 was harder to use like it was in Tekken 7, I would say he will be a little bit harder to play. But since the running moves, you don't need to do instant running anymore to do the running 2. You could just do 4-4-4-4-2 and it comes out. He's pretty easy to play. Most of his stuff instantly goes into Starburst. Starburst obviously makes his stuff plus frame and safer on block. When he's in heat, he automatically goes into Starburst. So he has a pretty easy game plan. He's pretty safe. Doesn't really require any execution based things. So I think if you're a new player and you want to play a character that utilizes the Tekken 8 system well, and is also pretty easy to play offensive with, Claudio is a good choice. Not very hard to come up with a game plan with him, and the down 1+2 is really good. The high crush joint, the Shoryuken joint. So he has a lot of stuff you can throw out, and it's pretty easy to play him. So he's a great character to play with, and he's pretty easy to play. Safina, she's a little bit more technical, obviously, because she has multiple stances like Tarantula, Scarecrow, and things of that nature. She's not as good as she used to be in Tekken 7. In Tekken 7, she was a lot more cheesier and easier to use. In this game, they nerfed her quite a bit. So you have to really work with her. You have to really use her stances in this game. And she also has to make a lot of hard reads defensively with her punch parry. Well, it's not really a punch parry. Parries everything. But I feel like overall, plus her stances and how not as accessible as she used to be, you really got to utilize chip damage a lot and take big risks with 50-50s and really utilize her movement and poke style to be effective with her. So I feel like if you want a character that's a little bit harder to play, then Safina might be good, because she definitely forces the poke game with the down forward ones and things like that. And then her stances, you really got to learn how to use the plus frames. And I think her chip damage, well, it's cheap, is very stance dependent. With the spider, down forward 2, whatever that move is, down forward 1. So yeah, she's a little bit more technical to play. And then of course her heat smashes are tied into her stances too, so that's another thing too. Paul Phoenix has always been an extremely basic character. Most of his best stuff, like forward 4 and quarterback 2 on hit, most of his best stuff all goes in the heat. And then of course he gets a 50-50 in heat, right, with Defis. The heat smash that's only -12, and it's basically a demo man. He has a real simple mind game. Go into heat, mix somebody up. His punishment is really good with back 1-2, forward 2. The thing with Paul is that his mind game is easy when it comes to just going ham with heat with the safe deficits and stuff. But neutral wise, if you're just trying to play neutral with somebody, it's going to be pretty hard, because when it comes to neutral, it's kind of limited with his neutral, right? He has, of course, he has down forward 2 jabs, down forward 1 strings, sway back and stuff like that. His lows aren't the best, of course. Like quarter forward 3 is minus 14, is 0 on hit, and then side step 3 is all right, but he has to side step to do it. So I think neutral wise, you're gonna have to step up your neutral game with him. But of course, in heat, like I said, his game plan is pretty easy. So a lot of Paul players tend to just do stuff in heat, you know, just throw stuff out. But I think at the highest levels, you might struggle a bit. So easy to pick up and do stuff with, but at high level, you know, in a neutral base, he's gonna force you to get your fundamentals up. So if you want to play a character that's easy to pick up, but it's gonna force you to get better at the game, Paul is a good character to make you work on your neutral with. Raven is interesting, right? And the reason why I say Raven is interesting, without heat, he's considered bad, right? I still think he's good without heat, because of course he has the crouching down for a 4 safe low. Then if you try to punish it, he could parry you. He has a lot of gimmicks. And then when he's in heat, he has a lot of 50-50s and a lot of chip damage with the shadow clones. Of course, it's -2 on block when he does it, but the chip damage is so great, and he makes you eat a 50-50 every time you get hit by something. A lot of people don't know how to fight Raven either. That's another thing too. So you could get away with a lot of stuff at high level with Raven. But if you fight somebody that really knows how to fight him, you might struggle a bit. Just because, you know, if somebody knows how to fight him, they're going to punch you really hard and sidewalk you and stuff like that. I think he's not easy to play. He's definitely not easy to play. But you could get away with a lot and literally beat people just by knowledge checking stuff. Knowledge checking. Knowledge check, what that means is basically doing stuff like gimmicks that people don't know how to deal with, like certain strings or like shadow clones, like stuff people don't know how to react to. So I think he's on the harder side to play, but you'll get away with a lot of stuff beating people. But once you fight somebody good, you might struggle. Victor, the only thing hard about him is that you gotta learn how to use his stance stuff. Cause you know running 2 goes into stance now, so you gotta learn how to mix it up with the high plus frames and then finishing the strings. But other than that, he's extremely easy to play. One of the best armor moves in the game. Very, 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 very easy offense with running 2, obviously. And then of course, like I said before, when he's in heat, it's a constant 50-50 if you got a duck, sidewalk, and stuff like that. So he's pretty damn easy to play. And yeah, man, if you knew, I don't see no issue with you know, playing with Victor. The only issue with Victor, of course, is low's a little bit more punishable, and he's weak to the left. But other than that, you should have an easy time coming up with a mind game to be able to play with him. Raina is another one that's kind of tricky to tell you if she's easy or hard. I think her natural game is extremely easy because it's just 4-4-2 into stuff. Most of the game with Raina, you're just going to do 4-4-2 into finishing the string, which is a plus frame high. 4-4-2 into armor, 2 punches. Launch punishable, of course. 4-4-2 into hell sweep. 4-4-2 into mid. Everything's for 4-4-2. 4-4-2 into cancel. That overall game plan is very, very easy. The only thing hard about her is obviously electric. Like, not everybody can electric. But in general, she's the easiest Mishima to play. So if you want to play a Mishima, and you want to play a Mishima that's a lot easier to play, and a Mishima that's a lot easier to engage in a 50-50 with, I would suggest playing Raina if you want the easiest Mishima to play. She got nerfed quite a bit. I think overall she's an easy character to play. But winning with her, once somebody knows how to fight her, is pretty hard because she has to take big risk, obviously, with sway back blow, and then her tool set is kind of limited. It's kind of stuck into the stance. She does have gimmicky stuff, you know. When she does her walk forward stance, she goes under highs and mids. No, she goes under highs and of course over lows, but you can beat out with mids. So it's all about knowing how to fight her. Overall, she's pretty easy to pick up, but you're gonna have a challenge winning at high level with her. So, you know, she got nerfed a lot. If it was Asuna before the nerf, I would tell you just play with her and just beat people. But you're gonna have to work a lot harder with her if you wanna win with her. Plus, her pokes are her best pokes are from back turn and from a stance, but they're like -13 and stuff like that. And then her downfall is -14. So, of course, her armor move is really good and her punch parry is really good. So I think she's just really easy to play, like I said. But overall, you're gonna have trouble, especially since you can't spam running 3-2 like that no more. Shaheen, I think if you know how to play Tekken already and have a solid fundamental ground base of poking and spacing and stuff like that, if you just have an overall solid ground game, Shaheen is easy to play. I think if you're just learning Tekken, it's going to be pretty hard to play him because he's all neutral. You have to be really good at neutral. And you also have to be good at doing slide mix-ups and cancels and stuff like that. So, like I said, he's a good character if you want to learn fundamentals and basics and learn how to play basic, good ground game Tekken. For newbies, it'll be, like I said, it'll be kind of hard to play him. But if you know how to play Tekken already and know how to poke and stuff like that and move, it'll be easy. But overall, he's very strong. And I will recommend him for somebody that's new to Tekken, because he'll kind of force you to get good at Tekken. Because I've played Shaheen players that have no ground game and they lose pretty badly. But yeah, he's a good character to learn if you want to be good at, because he forces you to poke with down for ones, down threes, a solid, really solid ground game. Marshal Law, they made him a lot easier to play because you could just hold forward to go into DSS. So overall, I think he's easier to play than Shaheen, honestly, because you could kind of not have that much of a ground game with Law and beat people. And the only reason why I say that, of course, is because DSS you just need to hold forward, and of course his 1+2 nunchucks is really cheap, and he has a 10-frame counter hit launcher and heat 112, and then 1+2 is a launcher and safe in heat. And then he has throws in the full combo. So a lot of new players tend to gravitate to him. And a lot of players tend to rank up fast with him because of just his high damage output and how easier he is to play in this game. Of course, holding DSS forward. And he has auto parry when he goes into heat and all types of nature like that. So I think out of all the slide characters, he's the easiest one to play. Especially if you're a new player. He's the easiest one to play. Leroy, his parry is really good. I think overall, his overall game is not hard. He doesn't really have no just frames or nothing like that. You know, his parries almost everything. He does a lot of tip damage. His lows are pretty cheap. You know, they're pretty punishable, but they're all unseeable. So overall, his game plan is pretty easy, man. You know, go plus frames, go into Hermit, mix somebody up, somebody attacks you, parries. So he's not hard to play, but I think he's kind of limited in the stuff he has. But just his whole overall game plan, you're not really going to struggle with him like that. Especially, like, I kind of feel like he's built for Tekken 8. Just because he could deal with offense really well with his parry. And he could rush you down with his 100-man punches and chip damage and stuff like that. So he's not a bad character for a newbie to pick up. I don't think you struggle too much playing with him. I think the one thing is that newbies will have to learn how to play him without just spamming down 3-2 all day. You're going to have to use a lot more of his tools if you want to win. Leo is an interesting character because she has a lot of stuff. You know, she's a bit slow. She has stances and stuff like that. You got to really know how to go into her stances. And I think the hardest thing is probably create an offense with her just because how slow she is. And everything is kind of like a stance type thing. You just have to have good neutral with her. So I think she's one of the harder characters to play if you're a new player. You will have to really, really dig deep into the fundamentals of the game. Of course, she has YOLO stuff. But I feel like you have to like be somewhat good on the ground to be effective with her. Lydia is extremely easy to play, right? Because it's kind of like Raina with, you know, 4-4-2 into everything. So she's kind of easy to play. The issue with Raina though, Lydia is that once you know how to fight her, she's really not that good. You know, you could parry most of the stuff, you could sidewalk most of the stuff. All her lows are super duper punishable. So I think at low level, you probably run through people with her. But at the highest level we fight, if you're fighting people that really know how to fight her, you're going to have a really, really hard time winning with her. So I think she's a work character, especially if the opponent doesn't know how to fight her. You're going to have to work really, really hard if you want to win with her. Panda, honestly, there's no reason to play Panda. You could just play Kuma. So I would just literally suggest a new player not to play Panda unless you really, really like Panda. I think overall the Panda thing, kind of similar to Kuma, not really hard to play, really gimmicky, kind of tied into bear stance and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to play, but I wouldn't suggest anybody to play this character. Asuka, of course, Asuka's always been known as one of the easiest characters to play in the game, which is why a lot of new players that join Tekken and play Tekken always go to Asuka. You know, easy game plan, 1+2, down 1+2. Parry, cans, back 3, extremely easy to play, high level. Of course, you're gonna have to be kind of risky with her and take big risks with her and stuff like that, but overall it's extremely easy to play. I see no reason for somebody new to Tekken to go and play with her. You're gonna have a real easy time learning her. She does big damage, she's really good in heat. I think the only thing is using her in heat might be a little bit complicated because she goes into Super Saiyan mode. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta learn how to use the different properties when she goes into that. So that's the thing on Asuka. But overall, I don't see no reason for somebody new not to play with her. You know, her heat is good too, so. My opinion, not just because I main Lee, but I feel like Lee is one of the hardest characters to play in the game. He forces you to have extremely good fundamentals in ground game because he's not good in heat. He only has 443 in heat and easy mode just frames in heat. So by his just frame being easy in heat, it's gonna make it seem like as a lead player, like for a new lead player, it's gonna be, oh yeah, easy. I just go into heat and I could do just frames, but that takes away a lot of heat. So if you want to work hard and you want to really like learn how to play fundamentally ground Tekken, Lee is good to pick up if you want to learn how to play real Tekken. So he takes a lot of skill, really hard to play. At low levels, most league players just play him and do back 3-3s all day. But yeah, I would suggest if you want to work hard and you want to get a good ground game, Lee is good so you can learn how to play proper Tekken. Very, very hard to play though. One of the hardest characters to play in the game. I think you will have to more for advanced players. LingZ, of course she's extremely cheap and stuff like that. You know, her AOP is really cheap. She does a lot of damage. Her heat is really good. You know, she has of course stuff you can sidestep, like a whole heat string you can sidestep right at the end of it. Overall, extremely cheap. I would say she's a bit harder to play just because you got to really learn how to use AOP sidestep, how to evade with AOP. So a lot of her stuff is stance based stuff, but once you get it, she's really cheap because she doesn't really need to deal with like offensive stuff like that because of heat, her AOP and stuff like that. And then her heat is like instant mix-ups and stuff like that. So I think once you learn her, you have an easier time dealing with a lot of stuff in the game. But I think just picking up and playing, obviously, because you need to learn how to do AOP stuff and learn how to do her stances and stuff, and then her neutral is a little bit tricky with the back turn things and everything. So I think she's probably one of the harder characters to play if you really want to understand how her stuff works. Besides electric, Jin is extremely easy to play. You know, the down 2, one of the cheapest lows in the game, counter hit combo, 2-1 only being -3. Then if somebody strings, you can confirm the 4. His heat is good with his heat smash, and then 4-4-2 full combo. Punch parry, forward 4. The only hard thing about him, I guess, is electric. But other than that, he's not very hard to play. Like I said, the only stuff that's hard is that. But you know, they made most of the Mishimas pretty easy to play, so I don't think he's very hard. Kazuya, I think at the highest level, if you want to play perfect, he's hard. But of course, they made him easier to play. That's why almost every scrub can play Kazuya and do electrics and shit. So he's a little bit easier to play compared to other Tekken games. But I still think he's one of the harder characters to play, especially if you want to win at high level. And playing neutral with him is hard because he doesn't have the standard down for 1s and down for 2s like that. So if you want to learn a Mishima, I think he's one of the best Mishimas in the game. I think Jin, if you count him as a Mishima, he's the best one and one of the, you know, him and Raina, obviously. Of course, Jin is better than Raina, so you just pick your poison. But overall, Kazuya, his mix-up game is really easy. I think his overall game plan is easy. Hell sweep, knockdown, 50-50, knockdown, 4-4-2. Like, his overall game plan is extremely easy to do. It's just the execution you need for it that is what's hard. So I would rank him a little bit harder to play, but easy game plan. Really good in heat too, by the way. He has a lot of heat stuff. Nina's one of the best characters in the game. Once you learn how to play with her, she has everything in her arsenal. Great chip damage, great heat, obviously a lot of chip gunshots and stuff like that. She's just really good. I think her movement is hard because of high Adisha steps, so you have to do a perfect Korean backdash cancel. But yeah, she's like in the middle. I think you have to be a pretty damn good player to play her. So one of the harder characters to play with in the game. You gotta learn how to poke properly and how to really use the stuff if you really want to be effective. Huaren is hard to play to an extent, but once you learn how to do his stuff, it's pretty scrubby. It's kind of endless offensive stuff. Yeah, you can sidewalk it, but he's probably the easiest stance character to play in the game because once you get in the groove, it's like you could kind of just spam the same stuff and have a game plan for it. So I think skill wise he's a bit overrated how hard he is to play, especially with how good he is in heat and how the game works. So I think he's kind of overrated when it comes to being hard to play. Fang is really easy, man. Very easy. Of course you need some kind of ground game, but he has so much good stuff, especially in heat. Safe back 1, the tornado 3+4 joint, and 50-50. He just overall just easy character. Kempo stuff to avoid mix-ups. You know, down back 3 counter hit, down 2 counter hit. He's pretty easy. Of course, you have to have some kind of solid ground game to play with him. You know, his just ground game is good. All his neutral is good. So, I don't think it's too hard to play with him. But of course, if you want to play him well, you have to get a little bit better fundamental wise at Tekken. You have to establish a good ground game, and then from there you could be cheesy as hell. Yoshimitsu, hard to play, but he's so cheesy in top 5 in the game that it doesn't really matter that he's hard to play. Because once you learn how to play him, he has the answers to everything. You probably gonna just beat everybody. You know, flash to get rid of mix-ups and spin to get out of mix-ups. Incredible chip damage and heat, unblockables. He's extremely cheesy, man. So if you want to win at Tekken, yeah, play Yoshimitsu. It might take you a little long, you know, to learn how to do his stances and do all his stuff, but it's a great character for a new player to play, especially if you want to keep playing the game and then down the line you get really good at it. The bear is interesting, right? Because I feel like the bear in heat is extremely good, but overall he's pretty damn unsafe, and you gotta take big risks to play him, especially in regular neutral without heat, with down back 2 being launch punishable. You know, a lot of his stuff is launch punishable. So, but in heat he's really, really good. So I think in the sense of you could gimmick a lot of people out and run through them, makes it easy. So overall easy to play. I feel like at the highest levels it's gonna be hard for him to win, especially if somebody knows how to fight people. But if you want to gimmick people out, you know, and do big damage, Wada, he's a good character to play. He's not that hard to play with. Lily, if you want a character really good movement, you know, and a really easy game plan and strong heat 50-50s, I see no reason not to play her. Execution wise, really easy character to play. Why not? Alisa, easy to play, man. Chainsaws, man. Once you win chainsaws, you could take over any match and beat anybody once you win chainsaws. That's the key to winning with her. I feel like to be really good with her, your ground game has to be good in your movement, but most Alisa players don't even do that and they still beat people. So it depends what kind of level you want to play. You want to play the scrub type Alisa that just kind of tries to run through people and plays unsafe with half screen down 3s, or you want to be the fundamentally solid Alisa that actually outplays people. So overall, not hard to play at all. But if you want to play her a little bit better, you're going to have to work a little bit and get better at spacing and movement and stuff like that. Lars is not hard to play with at all, obviously. He's pretty risky, and I feel like he has to really go in and take risks, and his hitboxes are kind of wonky. So he's one of those characters, easy to play, but not really good. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to play him or not. Good damage and stuff, and his heat is good, but like I said, man, he's not that great. He's pretty risky, so it's up to you if you want to play him. June, I feel like she's really underrated. Really easy to pick up and play. No high execution stuff. Pretty easy game plan with parrying back 3 can-cans. You know, rush down with strings and stuff like that. So, not very hard to play. Pretty easy for a new player to play. Plus, a lot of people don't know how to fight her. So, it's up to you if you want to play her or not. But I see no reason to play her when you could just play Asuka. Devil Jin. This is the easiest Devil Jin has ever been. This is easy to play, man. Hell sweep. He has armor move that gets him all the stuff. He has a dive kick to evade stuff. He has a lot of YOLO stuff to get away from stuff. They made him Devil Jin kind of crazy. So easy to pick up and play. Hard to win though. He got nerfed a lot. You gotta work a bit hard and you gotta take big risks. The only Devil Jin players I ever been scared of are the crazy ones. So not hard to play, but just know that you're gonna have a struggle to win and you're gonna have to take big risks if you want to win with him. Jack, of course Jack's game plan is easy, obviously, but it's a bit more advanced once you start doing Gamma Hall stuff and trying to mix people up with it. And then in neutral, you have to be fundamentally solid, you know, so a little harder to play, I think, at high level. You know, easy to pick up and come with a game plan, but overall it's going to be kind of hard to play, especially with the Gamma Hall, and then your neutral has to be pretty decent and stuff to really lock somebody down. I honestly don't think he's a great character, so you might have to work a bit hard. King, he's cheesy, really cheesy. Extremely easy game plan. Every time somebody hits you, just do the armor. That you know, he absorbs hits. You know, throws are really cheap in this game. His heat smash is some of the best in the game. So I think he's like, I think if you just new to Tekken, it won't take you too long to be able to learn King. Of course, his more advanced stuff is hard to play and hard to use. But overall, you could cheese people out with a simple throw game plan. And, you know, the armor move he has definitely deals with offense a lot. So, I think he's like in the middle when it comes to hard or easy to play. Steve, He's hard because you have to have good fundamentals with him. Your spacing have to be good. You have to be good at fishing for counter hits. You got to be good at reading timing. His heat is kind of like whatever. You got to be really good at mixing it up, mixing up the throws and the mix-ups and stuff like that. You just have to be really good at Tekken to play him. Of course, there's ways to play him YOLO, but overall, you're going to have to work hard and really, he will force you to have a good ground game and good fundamental game. You have to guess a lot, too. Super duper easy. Probably the easiest character to play in the game. Running 2, easy as hell. Down 2, easy game plan, godlike movement. There's literally no reason not to play this character. So if you new and you want to win in Tekken at all costs, just play Dragonov, man. There's nothing hard about him. Extremely easy. Great chip damage, easy mind games. Just really easy to play. Of course, Brian, this is the easiest Brian's ever been. Not very hard to play at all. I think the taunt stuff is hard. But when it comes to like difficulty wise, you won't struggle much. The only thing you're going to struggle with is taunt to jet up, but you don't need to do that. You could just do taunt to heat smash now. You know, backdashing with him is kind of hard, right? Because he has a sway back. But other than that, not very too hard to play in overall neutral. Plus, he does a lot of damage counter hit wise. You know, you have to fish for counter hit. So I think the counter hit fishing gameplay might be a bit hard because he's kind of slow, so you might get used to it. But overall, not too hard to play. I think like in the middle probably. And yeah, guys, that's it for the video. I hope this guide helps you guys on what characters you would like to play, who's easy, who's hard to play. And yeah, be sure to comment, subscribe, and tell everybody about my video. On that note, take care and peace out. Laters.